Okay, so I'm not the best looking, but I have good ideas.
I know. Well, that's what I felt. I wasn't entirely sure even where to start because your work is so prolific.
Yeah.
You've covered so many different areas and so many areas that I would like to kind of cover with you.
But actually, all my research is on one thing. On one thing. How to transform suffering into flourishing. How to transform bad things in life into your benefits. That's all I do. One thing.
Well, that I think is probably a good area to start with. But I'll just give you a very quick kind of recap of what the project's about. So
at this point, sorry, I'm going to turn my camera off so that I can be typing and taking notes. Maybe at the end I'll have some questions. But yeah, it'll be easier for me.
And also, I'm sorry that I have a Chinese accent, so I hope you understand me.
I have a South African accent, and yeah, so we all have.
I have a Scottish accent.
I try to speak slowly and clearly.
Perfect, thank you. So yeah, just to recap, I work for, but we are working with on this, exciting project, which is really looking at how we can help individuals achieve kind of greater mental well-being, just better wellness overall. And so we are engaged in research with people in the US, in the UK, and in France to understand their habits, their ambitions within this space. But we've been looking across many different aspects of wellness, physical, financial, spiritual, and are really interested in also what the opportunities for technology might be to help individuals in their quest, I suppose, to move from kind of negative to positive and get that. So I guess again, your work is vast, but as you said, it's focused on one area or one ultimate purpose. So maybe to start us off, you could just take us through your research and your thoughts on where the opportunities really are.
Okay. I've gone through a lot of suffering, okay? Born in China during the wartime and civil war, as a refugee in Hong Kong, as an immigrant in Canada. So I have suffered a great deal, okay? So therefore, all my research is trying to answer one question. How can I harness the power of suffering? How can I transform suffering into my strength, into flourishing? Okay, so I'm asking one question. And I have done lots of research, from animal research to clinical research to neurological research. All my research support my thesis. That is, suffering can make you better rather than bitter. Suffering can make you stronger rather than kills you. Wow, that's exciting research. Is there suffering is bad, unwanted, it's bad. It can make you depressed, make you commit suicide. I'm saying that if you have a better understanding of what suffering is, suffering can transform you. So my research is about the transformative power of suffering. That sounds good? Sounds exciting?
It does. Tell me more.
but nobody pay attention to those things. Everybody talk about happiness. This is the problem of suffering. He is a prophet of doom. So I'm the voice in the wilderness. Nobody will listen to me. Now, let me tell you a little bit early research. My early research has shown that deprived and hungry rats will always defeat the well-fed rats. The animals they are from our average child experience during when they're very young, when they're deprived, they always perform better than rats that are well-fed. They are part of human. America lost the war in Vietnam and Afghanistan. Do you know why? A hungry army, a deprived army, always beat a well-fed army. They haven't learned a lesson yet. You know, an angry and deprived and hungry army always prevail over a well-fed, loving comfort kind of army. In life, the same thing. So, in China, our problem in China, it says that if you do not suffer, you can never be fully human. If you're able to suffer the most, then you can be the best. I was brought up with that kind of philosophy. But that is totally unpopular in North America. North America say, oh, be happy, be happy. You're younger children. I see young children. I have clients who were brought up by rich families. They are like babies. They don't know how to make decisions. They are free of difficulty. They're totally useless. They're like oversized babies. I mean, my heart aches. Their parents never taught them how to face suffering, how to endure suffering, how to transform suffering. They protect them from suffering. They produce children. Yes.
What you say there about, I guess, suffering is human. To suffer is to be human. And
yeah, but I'm saying that in China, you'll be able to face suffering, you can be fully human. In other words, suffering is an inescapable part of life. It's inherent. I suffer from my wife. I suffer from my children. I suffer from pandemic. I suffer from my cancer. I suffer from everything.
When you say to face it, I'm really interested to understand. To face it, is that a mindset shift to recognize and face your suffering, also to then be able to move and use that to your power?
Okay, let me tell you, okay. Suffering is inescapable, suffering is unavoidable, okay? That's a fact. Okay? Suffering is a fact of life. That's Buddha's first noble truth. Life is suffering. In Christianity, it says that in this world, you have trouble, you have suffering. And Jesus came so that he can bear all the suffering, take all the wounding for us, so that we can be free from suffering. So all religions promise a way to be free from suffering. But science is behind it. Science does not study mindfulness, but mindfulness is a small part of Buddhism. Psychology, medicine, still treating suffering as something bad, okay? What I'm saying that if you ask yourself a different question, how can we make suffering work for you? How can you transform suffering? How can you turn suffering into your benefit? Wow, that completely changed everything. So the first thing to do, suffering might be good for you. The first thing to ask, tell yourself that suffering might be good for you. Okay. Now, in terms of science of well-being is how to measure the benefits of suffering, in terms of clinical psychology and science of well-being, how to implement habits that can transform suffering into well-being. That is huge, like huge field. Let me tell you something, okay? High-tech people from Silicon Valley, okay, and to Twitter, to Carnegie Mellon, they all interview me to pick my ideas, but nobody is willing to partner with me how to implement through technology. See, I believe that there should be no lonely people, no people should be depressed, no people should kill themselves if we know how to harness technology to help people. But everybody interested in picking ideas, but nobody interested in working with me how to really implement that. So that's why when you guys contact me and say, well, maybe you guys will listen to me carefully, try to work with me. But really
you talk about the 12 keys to unlocking the power of meaning and healing.
I can tell you all that. I'll tell you my vision for about technology. I believe there should not be any lonely people. There should be nobody commit suicide. If we're able to harness the power of technology to make it into iPhone and into app that people can, whenever they're in trouble, they just click a button, they got instant help. So right now, I'm helping many people, but I'm expensive as a psychologist. You see me, you pay at least $20 an hour to talk to me. Okay? But I want to make this free available through technology, but nobody want to partner with me. That's the thing. Okay? Now, you ask for 12 steps, okay?
So what I would like to say is that I really acknowledge what you're saying about your kind of bigger ambition to kind of rid the world of all of the sufferings, and that's something maybe we can come back to at the end, because at the moment I do want to get your ideas and leverage that wonderful insight and understanding that you have in how we can transfer or transform kind of suffering into flourishing. So I am going to be that person that says, yes, I hear you, but tell me more.
Well, everybody asks the same question. They still get ideas, they can do it themselves. The first thing is that, as a scientist, the first thing is measurement, right? How to measure the benefits of suffering, okay? How to measure the benefit, see, okay? Second thing, some research now, I'm not going to give you the quick tips on the science of well-being, okay? How to measure. The first step is how to change people's mindset, say, suffering could be good for me. That's the first step. Suffering could be good for me. Before you kill yourself, before you so depressed, simple, well, all these bad things, it could be my opportunity. It could be good for me. So,
and have you found any strategies or approaches that help people shift that mindset from suffering is bad to suffering as my
yeah, of course I have. I'm talking the first step first, okay? Everybody apply by the time of science. You have to be measure, for example, suffering and a problem. You will either see a problem as a problem or a problem as challenge. You know, in Nature, there's a big paper saying that, real appraisal is a big factor to help people cope with COVID-19. I think that a long time ago, that you view that as a challenge, reframe it. Any problem, you can reframe it as a challenge rather than difficulty. You talk to any person, that's too difficult, that's too difficult, there's a problem. You change your mindset, there's a lot of scientific research on that. You say,
it reminds me of, I guess, the growth mindset research. A kind of growth mindset.
Yeah, that good mindset, that's part of it, okay? Basically, any problem, rather see that as a problem, see that as a challenge. We appraise it. It's not growth mindset. I mean, people only know about growth mindset, but this is more than growth mindset, more powerful than growth mindset. Means view every problem, reappraise it as a challenge. Okay? So that's the first step. The first step. Develop measurement of that. There are a lot of scientific research say reappraisal can change problem into opportunity. Reappraisal, a challenge, I can do it. Okay? There's a lot of research about. Okay. Second thing, stop running, but start facing. Not stop. See, biology tells us fight or flight. But in life we can just fight. Right? Either fight, either escape or fight. That's animal kingdom. Now we're living in a civilized society. Okay? You can fight everybody, right? So I'm saying that stop running, start facing. Do you want to?
But I guess like facing our opportunities is difficult. It's hard.
Of course, difficult. Just be patient, okay? Just be patient, okay? You could. Do you know what? Most of the mental illness are caused by people trying to avoid and run away from problems. That's the anxiety, worry, depression. They're trying to escape. Something that's inescapable. You can tell people, some of my clients say, oh, only if I can go to Japan to relax, I'll be better. Oh, only if I say, my friend, you cannot escape from yourself.
That's what my mum tells me all the time.
You cannot, Eleanor, you cannot escape from yourself. You cannot run away from your inside prison. You cannot run away. You are full of doubts, full of insecurity, full of fear. You can't run away from that. So stop running. Stop running away. Because running away is, the more you run, the dog barking at you. You run, the dog chases after you. But you stay your ground, face the dog will go away. So there's no psychology to support my idea that the more you run, the more scared you are. The bigger the problem.
Can I ask one question? Because I guess we've got two different types, or very simplistically, two different types of people. Those who have genuine, deep suffering and have bigger life issues or challenges to be faced. And then we have people who are fairly well off, their lives aren't too bad, but you still have the micro sufferings that, I wish I could be healthier, I wish I could be fitter.
Well, it doesn't matter how there's no such thing as type people. Everybody suffers, okay? Everybody suffers. Okay? I have a client who's well off and happy, and then his friend died of COVID-19. And all of a sudden I say, oh, life is fragile. I can die anytime. Then start wondering what I do. Life is so short. And okay, so I have another client who's a top surgeon, and his kid got sick. He said, oh, I wish I could suffer my kid. I mean, he's well off, successful people. The kid got sick. He feels guilty. Oh, maybe I can prevent that. I said, I will suffer, my friend. I'm not saying that run away from suffering makes suffering worse. Run away from suffering brings you all kinds of illness problem. Run away is the solution. So the first thing to realize that run away is not the solution. The solution is pause. You know what pause is? In biology, you say flight, fight, or freeze. That freeze, you know, the freeze, the time of freeze means deciding what to do. The moment of freeze is very important for animal. Pause 1 second to decide what your chance of survival by run away or be fighting. 1 split second, okay? The life and death. So the pause is very important. So therefore, the mindfulness is a big business. What mindfulness teaches you is to pause. Stop. Stop. Stop worrying, stop running, stop thinking. Just calm down and pause. Listen to your breathing. Observe yourself. Observe nature. Observe what's happening. Observe life. Pause. Pause. Mindfulness. Mindful observation or prayer. Ah, God help me. Oh God, I'm dying. Help. Pause. Stand still. Stand still and see how God does the work. Stand still. Pause. So stop running. Pause and face. Take a stand. Pause and face. When you pause, your mind becomes clear. When you do mindful meditation, when you pray, when you pause, that helps clarify your mind. Okay? Now, stop running and pause and start facing it. After you calm down, then you face it, see what is happening. Okay? What is happening? The first question you ask, what is happening? In my animal research, it's called, Pavlov called that, what is it? Orienting reflex. They call orienting reflex. It's a reflex in animals kingdom. Pause, okay? In human psychology, it's all publication of that. It means what is happening. I mean, attribution research, what's happening. Okay? I very influential paper on when people ask why questions. Okay, what's happening? Okay, what is happening? Why? What is happening? What do you call it? And thirdly, what can I do about it? See, coping, right? If I ask myself, what's happening? I'm doing mindful observation. When I ask myself, what's happening? I'm investigating as a scientist. What caused it? Right? What the cause? Rather than, you didn't hear me, or you didn't understand me, or it's your problem. That blame other people that solve the problem. What the cause? The cause, maybe I forgot. Maybe I did the wrong thing. Maybe I asked the wrong question. Ask yourself the scientific question, what is the cause? Try to find the cause objectively, then you will have a better chance of knowing the cause of the problem so you can solve it, okay?
And Paul, what's so fascinating there is I guess that requires a degree of ability to dissolve your own ego, to kind of probe scientifically and question scientifically and open yourself to being part of the cause, requires to dial down that ego.
It requires to be scientist. Scientist. Get the ego out of the way. Ego is the enemy.
Yeah.
The biggest enemy is your ego. I said, a good scientist said, I don't know the cause. What's the cause? Is it me? Or is it other people or the environment? You open-mindedness. What is the cause? You ask a question as a lay scientist, and trying to find a solution. If your solution is always other people's fault, then you never find a solution. You're a lousy scientist.
And I suppose, it also requires to not be placing or to not put energy in blame, to allow it to just be, to not put energy on finding blame, but to invest.
Exactly. Stop blaming. Stop. It was the whole word stop. Stop blaming. Stop complaining. Stop whining. Stop running. Stop. That's salvation. Salvation starts with stop. Did I scare you? Did I scare you? Stop.
No, I think this was absolutely fascinating. I can see how it can apply to even, day-to-day small things of...
Of course. Stop.
Yeah.
Before you start fighting your husband or fighting with your kid, stop. Think about what the kid does this way. What does your husband do this way? Ask yourself, okay, did I cause it? Stop blaming your husband. Oh, it's your fault. Oh, you are uncaring. Oh, you have no love. Oh, you have no empathy. Stop blaming your husband. Say, what's so angry? Did I say anything wrong? Start asking objective questions. Stop blaming. Stop complaining. Stop running. All these things are ruining your life. Stop thinking. Use your brain, my friend. Use your brain. Using the forebrain.
There was a kind of statement I heard that I think relates to this that I find really powerful, which was like, who benefits from this emotion? So when you are blaming and when you are trying to find kind of cause, it's that kind of stop and pause and like, who's benefiting from me feeling bad? Who's benefiting from me placing blame? It's like, well, no one.
Hold me. Let me finish my story, okay? When you pause, right away, you stop all the voices from the ego. When you pause, right? And inquire, say, what's happening? When you start to ask, what's happening? Then you are in a state of inquiry. You are in a mental state of inquiry. So that shut down all the inner voices. It's their fault. It's other people's fault. Point a finger. Stop. Stop pointing. Inquiring. What's happening? Okay? What's happening? When you ask what's happening, you become scientist. Okay? You become philosopher. When you become a scientist for the cause. When you become a scientist, then many problems in life, many problems in marriage can be solved, my friend. Many problems cannot be solved because the ego in the way. Always, I'm right, he's wrong. But when it's changed into a scientist, what's the cause of our conflict? What is the conflict? What is the cause of our fight? When you ask a scientific question, right away you say, oh, we fight, but I'm the main cause. My stubbornness is the cause. My pride is the cause. My selfishness is the cause. But then, my husband is the cause. He's the cause. I mean, they completely change the picture. They do a lot of stress and suffering, right? When you ask what's the cause, you stop the fight, prevent you from the fight, prevent you from emotional upset. It calm you down and help you to clarify your mind, help you to think more clearly. See, this is how it works. Okay, stop, pause. What's happening? Now, the third step is more philosophical now. What is the meaning of what happened? And what should I do about it? What is the best way to do? So that is a philosophical, moral question. Okay? What is the meaning of this happening? And what's the right thing to it? Right way to react? So that calls for philosophical, moral consideration. That you become fully human because you become rational as a scientist. You become philosophical and moral as a mature, decent human being. See? Don't say ego-driven, emotion-driven. Most people are ego-driven, emotion-driven, idiots. Most people are idiots. And they cause themselves suffering, cause other people suffering. They never stop and ask, what's happening? What are you doing?
And when you say you kind of investigate what is the meaning of what's happening.
Okay. Now let me tell you. Something happened, okay? When I ask what the meaning, that means everything happened for a reason. What the reason it happened, okay? So that's philosophical question now. Now we're going beyond the science now. We're asking what the purpose of this happening and what does it tell me. For example, pandemic happened, okay? Pandemic happened. It happened. You ask yourself, why do we have the pandemic? Why? Maybe we don't pay enough attention to hygiene. Maybe because we refuse to take vaccination. What the meaning? And that's a different story now. We stop being a scientist, start being a philosopher. Okay? What the meaning? Maybe the pandemic is a wake-up call. Maybe questioning our lifestyle, questioning our selfish lifestyle. Maybe the pandemic tells us maybe certain animal food, something maybe forbidden, maybe the Bible is correct, that is a forbidden fruit. Maybe we are eating the forbidden fruit. Maybe some animal cannot be eaten. Maybe something cannot be done. Maybe we should learn how to fear God again. Rather than denying God exists, pretending God doesn't exist. Maybe that's the trouble. Maybe we begin to learn to God, fear God. We begin to kill each other rather than attacking each other, communicate with each other. Because it's global, right? If every country communicate with each other, then the problem can be solved earlier. When we don't communicate with each other, when we don't help each other, we cannot solve the pandemic problem. Like some people anti-vaccine. They will protest, they will not refuse to be vaccinated. That means they don't care about other people, only care about their own freedom. So that's the meaning of it. Then you think about deeper now, not what the cause. I deal with what is the reason for that happening? What the purpose? We'll think about deeper level now. Now, the last thing, how should I respond? So that is the crunch now. What should I do? How should I respond? Well, if you're going through the 3 steps, what it is, what they mean, how should I respond? Your life is different. Your marriage is different. that will change the whole thing. That's transformative. Because when you ask yourself, how should I respond? You're asking a moral question now. What I ought to do, rather than what I like to do. You know, what profit me, what benefit me. You stop asking me, what benefit me. You're asking what is the right thing to do. At that point, see, a reorientation occurs. It's not just about me, it's about what is the right thing to do. Wow, that will solve a lot of problems. When I ask yourself what the right thing to do, when I ask yourself what the right thing to do, you become like a decent human being now.
It makes me one thing that's sticking in my head is to ask and to answer that question of how should I respond. It requires, I guess, a level of education or
No. Even a child will know, okay? I have some idea what is right, what is wrong. That should be learned in kindergarten. If people give you a candy or something, it's wrong to throw candy in the floor or hit a person. I mean, what's right, what is wrong? Everybody should know what's right and wrong. You know education. You know what? I'm telling you the truth. Some of the uneducated people are the best people.
I guess I think I meant it more in the sense of being able to contemplate actions that sit above your own desires. That level of education.
Let me explain to you, okay? Okay. Just be a little patient, young lady. Some of the best people I met are blue collar and educated people. Right? They have an intuitive sense of what's right, what's wrong. We have a conscience. God has provided conscience. Intuitively, you know what's right, what's wrong. People generally teach you. When people in Africa, sometimes, some research shown that some of the backward country, underdeveloped country, the people are more genuine, are kinder, more hospitable, they're happier, because they treat each other with sincerity, with they intuitively know what's right and wrong. So, intuitively know what's right and wrong. Also, education, in kindergarten, we learn how to take turn, how to say thank you, how to say sorry, to say magic words, please, sorry, and thank you. You learn that in kindergarten. But now, we're so sophisticated. We're so sophisticated, education actually turn us into a monster.
And I think kind of just reflecting on some of this, I feel it's intuitively understandable, particularly in kind of more social constructs. Now, if I'm thinking it for myself, and I feel a lot of shoulds. I feel like, I should go to the gym or I should eat well. That gives me suffering because I'm not doing all of those things. How do I apply it in that?
Okay, let me explain to you why, okay. At the intuitive level, people know what's good for them, what's good. Intuitively, okay, do the right thing. Okay. Now, okay, what happened is that you suffer from affluence.
Yes.
Affluence means that you have too many choices. When you are starving, the only thing you're concerned about how to find bread. Now you have so much free time, so much free money, so many options. Should I do this? Should I do that? Of course, they call stress. There are too many choices, okay? But your choice right away narrow when asked, what is good for your health, okay? Then you know the answer, okay? You say, I am doing something good for my health, okay? And what is good for my husband, for other people now, or for my children? Right away, you narrow it. One second, what is good for your health? What is good for your loved ones? And what is good for humanity? See, you said what's good for other people, rather than what enjoyable. So that's the problem. Okay, what is the most enjoyable? That's what will occur. Oh, what will make me more famous? That's again the problem. Oh, how can I be more rich?
And I see that as the tension between, I guess, the more Stoic mindsets or the more Buddhist mindsets and the kind of positive psychology paradigm which focuses on pleasure and hedonistic pursuits. And I think this is such a fascinating area where you can see opportunities for technology to help people develop this practice.
So I'm saying that, I'm making it simpler. I'm saying that, think about what you want is different from what you need. For example, your body needs sleep. That's good for you. You need sleep. But it's more enjoyable to stay up late to watch a movie or have just a Netflix marathon, okay? Watch all night, play the series, drama series, okay? What enjoyable is one thing. What's good for you is another thing. We all know what's good for you. But we all do what is pleasurable. That's the problem. So if you the mindset stop thinking about happiness, pleasure, that ruin you. That's why it's toxic positivity. Toxic positivity means always think about what's pleasurable, what adds my pleasure, how can I be happier? That's toxic. If you keep thinking this line, it ruins your life and ruin the life of people around you. You always think about what will make me happy, how can I be happier? You're always thinking simple, what actually I really need for my health.
How might we help people develop that, in layman's terms, that self-discipline to recognize a need and satisfy a need and not a desire?
Good. I'm saying that. Stop thinking about pleasure, that's killing you. Stop. Again, stop. Stop thinking about what's making me happier, Stop this nonsense. It's killing North America, it's killing everybody with drugs. How many people die of drugs? I mean, how many people depressed and suicide? Because they always think about what makes me happy. No, I'm not happy, so I better kill myself. Stop, because that's not good for you. It's not good for your mental health. It's not good for your family. It's not good for society. Just stop, okay? So that's why my first lesson is stop and pause. Pause, think about what is good for you, what is good for your loved one, what is good for humanity. You start asking what is good for other people, for you, and for humanity. That is the turning point. It's not growth mindset. This is self-observed. Second about reorient yourself, say what is good for you. Usually, what is good for you, or good for your family, good for humanity. What's good for me, for your family, and for humanity. That is the question you ask.
I'm conscious of time. That's us kind of got to the 45 minutes, and I wondered if I could just keep you a minute longer or so and allow Gerhard to come in and ask any questions.
Sure. I'm available. I'll be giving a lecture at Harvard. They gave me 45 minutes, so I told them that 45 minutes not enough. I need longer than that. So I'll be giving just couple talk about amazing science of suffering. I'll be giving Harvard in October. On the same topic, okay? It's fascinating topic, but if people listen to me, I can show them how you can turn suffering into your blessing. Okay, who want to ask me questions?
Hi, Gerhard.
I just want to say thank you very much. It's been a real pleasure to listen to the conversation. I just had one question. So you said, like tech companies have spoken to you before, and so since you have a direct line. So aside from like nobody should be lonely and like people should be connected, and technology can really link people so that everybody has someone to talk to, and like loneliness should be eradicated. Apart from that, what do you think technology companies should know or think about to help their customers not be happier, but to be more okay?
Okay. Well, very, very simple, okay? And big tech companies should partner with research scientists like myself and my partner at Harvard to develop technology, develop human-machine interaction, develop apps, applications, how to develop technology that can increase people's well-being. Okay? So that's why I say, you guys can partner with me. I can help you guys develop all kinds of apps that can help people, happy to be, lonely people to find, connect with people, sad people be happier, suicidal people stop killing themselves, don't think about opportunity, hopeful. There's so much you can do that we partner with scientists.
And I think just to kind of build on Gerhard's point, or maybe kind of go back to it, assuming we have this limited space at the moment to discuss it, and as Gerhard said, like to think about how to enable using the technology that they've got, what would you say the fundamental things are that they could be doing to help their users?
Okay, the first thing I'll do, that there are two modules, okay? If you talk about two areas, the first module I'll develop is how to know yourself. See? Most people don't know themselves. If I ask you, what's the real you? Can you tell me what's the real you? You know yourself, you know yourself, and know other people according to Sun Tzu's the art of war. You know yourself, know other people, they always win your battles. You see? You know yourself and know other people, you're unbeatable. I'm unbeatable because I know myself. When nobody here listens to me, I still believe in myself because I know that I'm on the right track. I've been in research for 50 years. Nobody listens to me. Nobody listens to me until pandemic. The pandemic, people began to discover Paul Wong. Paul Wong has done research on this area. I got invited to speak all over the world. People discover me because, Paul has the right idea. But for 50 years, nobody listens to me.
And I think that almost comes back to the question I asked earlier around how do you overcome that sense of social pressures, social comparisons, but by knowing yourself, being centered within yourself, and having that security of yourself, it makes that kind of outside noise less, it dials that down.
Well, then, how to know yourself, that first module, how much time do I have? We run out of time. There's another big question. How to know yourself will cut down social comparison, will put you on a path of constant self-improvement. When you know yourself, know your passion, and know your talents, then you're starting on a path of constant improvement of yourself. Compare yourself with your yesterday. And then now Do I notice better than yesterday? This is called transcendental exercise. Now, what is transcendental exercise? Transcendental exercise means that how can you improve by incrementally? Am I transcend yesterday's limit? Right? You will transcend your yesterday limit, then you constantly improve. I have research to show you, if you follow my procedure of constant improvement, you become superwoman. Do you believe that? You can be a superwoman. You constantly improve yourself. You find your niche, find your strength. You constantly improve yourself. Wow, you're unbeatable. I have produced super rats. I can also consult Olympic athletes. You can be super performer in any area if you constantly improve yourself every day. You call transcendental training.
Paul, that's absolutely fantastic.
Do you want an app called Transcendental Training Top with Superwoman or Superman?
I can see such a benefit to it, and I'm sure we could talk for hours. But thank you so much for your time and your wisdom. It's been such a wonderful experience to talk to you, and I have so much more of your research to go through. But thank you again for taking the time to speak to us.
You are really interested in my idea. Work with me, okay?
I'll leave that in the hands. Know that the opportunity is there. So thank you so much for taking your time again.
Okay, my pleasure. My pleasure to preach the gospel, of suffering.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.